Hey people, so out on a job site, got a problem here. This cabinet, the doors are way too far forward. There's a huge gap here. It's like 3/8 of an inch. They need to be like a 1/4 inch that way. The problem with that is there's a certain amount of adjustment at the back of these Salici hinges where you can move them about, a 1/16, maybe 3/32 in each direction. But even at their farthest end, there's still way too big of a gap. Now the obvious solution is to just take the hinges out and put them back a little further. The problem with that is we've already got these holes here, and to move them back like a 1/4 of an inch, it's, drilling a hole right there is going to be really difficult. So what we're going to do is, just to add structure, we're actually going to take a dowel and a little, Jesus, where are we going here? Take a dowel and a little bit of super glue. And then just to make things go faster, I'm going to spray a little bit of activator into the hole. Which just makes the super glue dry faster. This isn't going to look good, but it's just going to get covered up. The hinge plate's still going to be about right there, so it'll get covered up. And once that's, really solid within 10 seconds or so, just take a flush cut saw and then you'll be able to drill right there. It's a topic for another video, but I'll also show you how we would drill our hinge plate holes using one of these door jigs. So I said I'd go over this later, but we're already here, so I said I'd go, Jesus Christ. I said I'd go over this later, but we're already here, so might as well. So to get your hinge plates in the right spot, you need to know what your overlay is. So for these ones, the overlay on the bottom is just the depth of the deck. It's about 23-30 just under 3/4 of an inch. And our hinges are 4 inches on center. So what we want to do, I think these are actually already in the right spot, but you burn that first 3/4 of an inch, and then you set the center at 4 inches, and then that should put, if 4 inches is the center of your hinge plate, and then you've got your 3/4 at the bottom to account for the thickness of the deck, because this is going to be set on top of the deck. So you got to account. That's why you burn the first 3/4 of an inch, because if you measured from here, that would put it basically 3/4 of an inch too high. So then, as far as depth, you can put a door in place and measure what it needs to be. But I already know that for these hinges, the proper depth is about an inch and 7/16 or 37 millimeters. So another really important thing to do, since these will be drilled on a finished end, this is going to be seen over here, you really want to make sure you put on some kind of depth stop so you don't drill all the way through the side of the cabinet. So you'll want to get your drill bit set all the way so it's repeatable, because if you don't do it all the way, you might chuck it up differently. And then you have to go in about 3/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch. So then you start drilling in. Be careful, because if it splits out, you can mangle your finger. You can stop every once in a while and spin it to see how close you are to center. And then also when you're doing deep drilling, you want to do what's called pecking. So you'll drill a little bit, pull out, that'll get all the sawdust out. If you keep drilling, you'll get impacted dust and it's more liable to split. So now I've got, okay, I fucked up. I forgot. You also have to account for the thickness of this plate. So I'll actually need it to be another 1/2 inch deeper than that. That was silly, don't do that. So, the only thing that really matters is check it against whatever the depth of your actual cabinet is. You just want to make sure you're not going through one of your ends. So then you do the same thing from the top. You got to know what your overlay is, how much the door is going to hang over the cabinet box. In this case, whenever you're doing something like this, whether it's door handles or hinge plates, you want to do all the ones that are you want to have to adjust this as little as possible, because the more times you adjust it, the more times you can screw things up. You get it adjusted for the bottom plate, do all the bottoms, check your work along the way. You don't want to, do yourself in the butt and drill them all wrong, or you have to redo that whole, what I just did. I don't remember where I was, but anyway, I've got a 3/8 inch overlay on top. So I've burned 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm 4 inches in the center of my plate. So I guess while you're here, might as well tell you how to use these Salici hinges. So there's a small hole for a pin right here, corresponding to a pin on the front of this. You just set it in that little hook, press down on the back, make sure that this little thing flips back up. Always give your door a little, wiggle to make sure it's actually on before you let it go. Sometimes a hinge will even make a clicking sound but not actually be engaged, and then if you got a 20-pound door fall, that's unlikely. Then you got a 10-pound door falling from an upper cabinet and you got a bad day. So anyways, that's all. I better get back to work. So what the hell, we've already come this far. I'll just show you how to adjust doors. Obviously we want even gaps all the way. For whatever reason, in between where the doors open up, I got like a 1/4 inch gap, and then almost no gap, which works out pretty well. I'll probably push this about a 1/16, this about a 1/16, and should be pretty good. Doors are lined up good on the bottom as far as the way that works. So almost any door hinge is going to be this way, but I'll show you in particular how the Salici hinges work. There's one that you can't see back here, is up and down. This one is in and out, and then there's one in the back that moves the door forward and backward. So this is super easy because it's a small set, but a basic rule is you want to start from the middle and work your way out, because if you start on one end and you started adjusting things, by the end of it you might be hosed. So if you start in the middle, you got half the distance to go in each direction. I kind of do everything in like by how many flicks of the wrist. So whatever, if my gap's even, I do 2 twists on top, 2 twists on bottom. Same on that side. Our gaps are pretty even now. This guy over here is still a little bit big. I don't want to make this gap any bigger because then it's going to look goofy, so I'm just going to bring this door over. I lied, I moved that one a little bit. So, I mean, as you can see, those, ignore that the cabinets are very dirty. You can at least see there's even gaps all, no it's not. So pretty close at this point. The only thing I'm really not liking is got a bit bigger of a gap at the bottom here than at the top. So one thing you've got to be aware of, every time you move anything on a cabinet, say I bring this side out, it's also going to bring this top corner up. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring this corner out, this corner back a little bit, and then I'm going to push the whole door down. I like the 8-fitted I-5s. Oh, I guess another a cautionary tale is leave anything out at a commercial job site at your own risk. That whole door is probably going to need to be rebathed. There's not going to be any way to, there's not really going to be any way to repair that scratch without, I don't know, without it looking goofy. Anyway, bye. So then you just got to know so you would actually, you do all them